It's time to look at everyone's favorite park to mock, which is not fair to Ronde. On a good day, and I'll admit they are rare currently, this Six Flags Run amusement park has long hung in a state of mediocrity with only the occasional major attraction debuting every few years. As of the creation of this video, the park's newest attraction, Vipère, has been delayed and shows no sign of when it will debut, if at all, in 2021. This park may be in trouble, as many are with COVID limiting revenue in 2020. Opening with Expo 67 and later as Man and His World, the park has persevered through adversities such as near closure in the late 90s, before being taken over by Six Flags in 2001. Other contenders at the time for the takeover included Paramount, Cedar Fair, and Park Asterix, which would have been fascinating to see realized. However, Six Flags' guarantee of over $90 million in investment was seen at the time as the most sound proposal. Outside of any trouble the park may have had since, here we look at what could happen if the park decided to evolve from its current offerings. The good thing for Ronde is that a visit is not short of attractions. The park boasts 8 roller coasters and 33 flat rides, which ranks high among amusement parks currently. There is a pleasing variety of old and new, and in some cases too much of it. Over the years, however, the park has struggled with long-term expansion ideas to the point where its survival can be deemed surprising. Considering its history, the place ought to be loved more than it is. There is room for expansion, however, but the main focus should be in establishing theming to a park without any themed areas other than Swarm Country. In 1985, the park debuted l'Aquapark, at a time when faster and less forgiving water slides were quickly built around North America. Years later, the water park is gone, along with its former neighbor Cobra, an intimate stand-up coaster closed in 2016. Now this area, other than having rare full-growth trees, is cluttered at one end with flat rides and a relatively disused area in the west near the old aquarium. The footings where Cobra used to sit can still be seen, and the buildings are not used other than for season pass processing. It has been discussed in rumor boards, but it remains fairly obvious that this prime real estate could easily hold a major roller coaster and may have likely been a project the park has had in mind for some time. When the guests arrive at the south main entrance to the park, they are arriving from the west side, and therefore any attraction that could be built in this area should be significant to capture the eye of not only park goers, but any passing traffic on the nearby Jacques Cartier Bridge. The past last 3 major roller coasters have been Bolliger & Mabillard designs, and a significant wood coaster, but technology has come a long way in the 4-decade period of those creations. There are a lot of exciting options here, and Vekoma or Intamin are the companies that should be invited to the party. An Intamin Blitz or LSM launch design or a Vekoma Shockwave design would be perfect here. This would be a loud, although expensive statement by the park, not only for having a launch coaster added into the park's lineup, but also a state-of-the-art ride with generally well-received views for all models. While a construction on the level of Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure in Florida is out of the question, on considering the options for this park, and if budget could allow, the best alternative from both of these manufacturers, and what could be the ideal solution, is a Mack Rides creation. These can fit in both high thrills and a compact design, like the new Hurricane roller coaster at Suzhou Amusement Land Forest World in China. This would serve as a substantial addition that would most importantly bring uninterested locals passing by on that bridge back to the park. It has been 15 years since the last major addition, Goliath, opened. Endor l'Attaque opened in 2010 and is not considered one here. Ronde has not seen a major addition for some time, where its nearest size competitor, Canada's Wonderland, has seen several world-class creations built through that period. The only way Ronde can differentiate themselves from Wonderland and pose serious competition is with a major ride, and a launch thrill coaster from Mack, Intamin, or Vekoma should be their first choice. La Pitune, an aerodynamics log flume, was closed after 49 years of service in 2017. The legacy of this much-loved ride shouldn't be lost, as without the flume to add character to the area, Fort Edmonton looks lost and is quickly regressing into a ghost town. Before dealing with the area where Pitune was, this emergence of decaying atmosphere could be embraced into something more unique. Other Six Flags parks nearby, such as New England and Great Escape, already have immersive Western theme areas. And while out of place in Ronde, this classic tactic could instead be a venue for an abandoned mining town more appropriate and tied to the Quebec region. The saloon, while great for anyone looking for a dive bar within a theme park, needs to be updated, and the feasibility of having a stage show building in the park has regretfully seen its day. All of these buildings could be transformed into an updated themed area with better dining options, poutine will always be available, and a state-of-the-art dark ride. If French-Canadian history is a serious consideration in the park, much like celebrating culture has been a focus when it opened in 1967, this seems like a no-brainer. The top section of Fort Edmonton's buildings are built close together enough to be used as show buildings for a ride that could travel through them above ground. Thus, the concourse level could retain public space and concessions, while the disused areas above could provide a terrifying ride for families. This may seem out of place in today's world, but the park has not had a ghost train since Gyrotron, and an attraction that could pay homage to both may be well embraced. As for the site of La Poutine, another major attraction needs to claim this space in order to draw life back to Fort Edmonton. If nothing happens, it will quickly deteriorate into an aforementioned ghost town with little effort. A family Vekoma boomerang coaster along the water to take in the views of this location would be a great solution, allowing medium-sized thrill-goers a low-cost addition to enjoy immediately and inject life into the area. Theming for these rides is conveniently flexible and, if introduced soon, would be noteworthy for being the first of its kind in North America. This is an ideal first addition to the park to immediately bring back life to its core. Now the third coaster to be added in this future plan, and yes, not a new coaster but a modification of an existing one. As much as Le Monstre is a feared and legendary ride still operating today, it's for the wrong reasons. The ride currently is extremely rough and without a wholesale retracking will not be able to continue much longer in its current form. In fact, new and smoother wood coasters are currently closing by the month, and the prospect of this ride carrying on its life in current shape can't be in anyone's wish book. What then could be done with such a monstrosity? Those that know the current industry trend would automatically look to RMC as the solution. Retracking the ride with its topper-style track is the first and most affordable option, as it would require no redesign of the current layout, but has given problematic rides in some earlier designs. With the now scarcity of twin wood racing coasters and Quebec's own love for racing, it's a wonder if sacrificing the racing component of this ride would ever be considered. This leads to the most popular conversion option for enthusiasts, a full hybrid conversion that can only be watering to the mouth to consider given the sheer size of the structure already in place. This would be the most glamorous option as well, as it may not be within the park's budget to even consider. If and when Le Monstre is either converted, retracted, or demolished, it should happen further in the future, a few years after another new addition could boost park attendance and thus give promotion opportunities for final rides on what was once Canada's most celebrated coaster. It should be said the current layout is too tame in its early section, not fully taking advantage of the 130-foot height of the lift hill. The most likely thing the park will do based on previous history is demolish it and start from scratch, which I would hate to see. The preferred option is to have an RMC conversion similar to Iron Gwazi, but ideally, like Twisted Colossus, to bring back Le Monstre to the stature it once held. It would also be a statement by the park that they intend to attract visitors beyond its local area, much like Goliath and Le Monstre did when they were introduced. There is a lot of potential here, and it's exciting to think what the park may have in mind for this ride in the future. Believe it or not, we are not done with coaster additions, as the final that could be added in this plan would be a replacement for Ronde de l'Attaque, one of the park's terrible twin frustrations. A subpar suspended model that opened 8 years after Le Vampire, its superior neighbor. Admittingly, it was relocated from Six Flags Astroworld, and it has the best themed entrance in the park, and possibly Canada, and looks beautiful next to the lake in its current location. But these are small sacrifices for what is a pointless ride taking up space in a park with a finite amount of it. It should be replaced by something that can neatly fit in its current location. Despite the park having no issue taking up space in front of the second entrance, you could open up this area with a smaller attraction, which is desperately needed if you have been there on a busy day. A power wave wave coaster is not only a new design that would bring in a large range of visitors from surrounding areas, but the ride would also fit in neatly next to the lake and theater where Ednort already sits, taking up half the space overall. It's easy to picture already and would serve a much needed problem with a crowd-pleasing addition. The ride is also designed by Mack, which, if a multi-ride agreement were reached, could yield further savings overall. The layout of the park is the final modification to be tackled in this plan and the second of the twin frustrations. As many know, the lack of a path connecting the La Grande Rue area of the park with Titan and the southern zone seems long overdue. There is the obvious issue with l'International des Feux staging area taking up this space. They should be able, however, if adventurous enough, to build a suspended boardwalk structure that would allow guests to walk through. This would provide space for some new mobile concessions along it, while also having a perspective overlooking Montreal for people to sit and relax. No permanent building structure need to be in place here, as structural damage from explosives is a real possibility. But a boardwalk would be ideal and could be closed off for fireworks displays. Overall, this would solve the connection issue of the park and allow for a much easier path for guests to exit from the north. La Ronde clearly needs a lot, but at the same time, much of what the park already has could remain in place. Their children's section, other than the usual upkeep, should not be touched and has grown into one of the best on offer in North America. However, near this section, a rather dormant area of the park where the old chairlift used to be located should be redeveloped and could potentially start out as a new themed area. With Boomerang and Chaos and possibly V-Pair, there are already some wilder theme rides placed already, and considering how this is the most wooded area, automatically leans towards a jungle wilderness theme. There are many new flat rides that could fit in where the chairlift building is now, along with a themed entrance. And if the Expo era maintenance building behind this could be removed, then you have a good amount of land to create a new themed area that can differentiate itself from the water rides just to the north. La Ronde continues to play catch-up to Canada's Wonderland despite being 14 years its senior. The park has been at a crossroads for a long time, defying the odds to remain open while still searching for some form of identity and sense of purpose within the Montreal market. These changes, while fanciful and expensive in areas, could only help to improve and retain what is an important park in both Canadian and amusement park history.